Good evening, everyone. This is your evening news recap. I hope all of you guys had a wonderful day. My day was all right. Today is May 4th. It is National Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. Um, I'm a big Star Wars fan. I'm wearing a Star Wars shirt, one of the few I have. You know, um, just a little fun fact for the Star Wars nerds out there. I grew up in, the same hometown as George Lucas. And he even went to high school with my grandma. And, that's pretty cool. Small world out there. Just a little fun fact for you guys. But yeah, may the 4th be with you all. Let's get started on the news today. We have three segments to cover today. The Trump administration segment, we have a segment on the Meet the Press Trump interview, and we have an other news segment per usual. With that being said, let's get started. For the Trump administration segment today, we have three topics. Trump plans to reopen Alcatraz and house inmates. There's been a 100% tariff announced on foreign-made movies. Sorry, and Trump has posted a AI picture of himself as a Sith Lord. Trump has announced plans to reopen Alcatraz to house inmates. In a new post on Truth Social, he has announced his plans to rebuild and reopen Alcatraz, the historical prison in the San Francisco Bay. In this post, he said, "Rebuild and open Alcatraz. For too long, America has been plagued by vicious, violent, and repeat criminal offenders, the dregs of society, who will never contribute anything other than misery and suffering." Quick little unprofessional injection here, I know. But, it sounds like he's talking about himself on this one. Maybe that's just me, though. Moving on, he would go on to say, "I am directing the Department of Justice, FBI, and Homeland Security to reopen and substantially enlarge and rebuild Alcatraz to house America's most ruthless and violent offenders." He ended the statement by saying, "Reopening Alcatraz will serve as a symbol of law, order, and justice. We will make America great again." This is going to cost a lot of money, and I don't even think he is allowed to do this by the California government because it's registered as a historical site, but maybe he has the power to do something that I'm not aware of on this one. This would be crazy, as the prison hasn't been open for years. Three people previously escaped from the prison, and it had a few other functioning issues that, made it close, and it would likely take years to rebuild it and bring it up to the standard that it would need to be for an American prison. Not to mention, the big price tag that comes on making a prison, like that. Alcatraz was previously used to hold like the big bads, for the United States until it was closed, and I believe that prison is now in Colorado that holds the big bads, including some of the people involved with the 9/11 attacks. But isn't the worst thing to have two of those prisons like that, but Trump's definition of a big bad is a lot different than a normal definition of a big bad. So Trump likely won't use it for what you would assume the terrible people you would use a prison like that was for, and what Alcatraz was previously used for. Moving on, Trump has announced a new 100% tariff on foreign-made movies. In a new post on Truth Social, Trump has announced a new tariff on the movie industry. In his post, he said, "The movie industry in America is dying a very fast death. Other countries are offering all sorts of incentives to draw our filmmakers and studios away from the United States." He claims this is a national security threat because it is a concentrated effort by other nations. He would go on to say, "Therefore, I am authorizing the Department of Commerce, the United States Trade Representative, to immediately begin the process of instituting a 100% tariff on any and all movies coming into our country that are produced in foreign lands. We want movies made in America again." I don't watch American media. I've said that a few times, so this really isn't, a problem for me. Especially when it comes down to things like streaming services. It's honestly just a lot cheaper and a lot easier to watch a movie on a streaming service than it is to go buy one. Um, you know, Again, Unfortunately, this does, kill the physical media industry, which does cut down on the waste, which isn't the worst thing. But it is quite nice for me personally to have a hard copy of a movie if I do enjoy it. I do tend to, like to buy the DVD version. Um, it makes it nice when things aren't on streaming services anymore. But it happens. I mean, there's not too much to say about that. Hollywood has been kind of a dying industry for a few years and now, with especially with how writers are treated and even how actors are treated to some degree. And I mean, it happens. And American media always just kind of ends the same. It's always like the hero wins. That's why I like to watch anime. One of my favorite things to watch because it's always a different story, and it's interesting in my opinion. But moving on, Trump has posted a picture of himself as a Sith Lord. Trump has posted an AI picture of himself as a Sith Lord on social media. The post caption reads, "Happy May 4th to all, including the radical left lunatics who are fighting so hard to bring Sith Lords, murderers, and drug lords, dangerous prisoners, and well-known MS-13 gang members back into our galaxy. You are not the rebellion, you are the Empire." The image depicts Trump with a red lightsaber, a common sign, and the sign of a Sith Lord, with an eagles and American flags behind him. Trump is supposedly also a dual wielder of lightsabers, according to this AI image, another sign of him being a Sith outside of his red lightsaber, as that is also a common theme for them. Just a little Star Wars, lore for you there, if you will. At least you got the color right for the lightsaber, though, because man is in no way anything close to a Jedi. He is much definitely a Sith Lord. Moving on, we have a segment on the Meet the Press interview with Trump today. For those who don't know, NBC's Meet the Press did an interview with Trump. We have a few topics to cover today. On the interview, we have 3 topics. Trump has said the good parts about the economy are his and the bad parts are Biden. Trump won't rule out military force for Greenland, and Trump doesn't know if he can uphold the Constitution. Let's get started. Trump has said that the good parts about the economy are his and the bad parts are Biden's. Trump has taken... Holy... That was... I didn't even move that back. My chair did that by itself. That has never happened before. Trump has taken credit for the good parts of the economy in an interview with NBC, but said the bad parts are Joe Biden's economy. Trump said, "Ultimately, I take responsibility for everything, but I've only been here for a little more than three months. The tariffs have just started kicking in. The tariffs are going to make us rich. We are going to be a very rich country." Trump said, "I think the good parts are the Trump economy and the bad parts are the Biden economy because he's done such a terrible job. Everything about the economy is Trump's fault. The economy was fine when Biden was president, and even things got cheaper during the last few months of his presidency. Things were nice during Biden's presidency because we didn't have tariffs destroying the cost of living for all the individuals in the United States. I don't think I can think of really one good thing in the economy right now. Everything's, for the most part, expensive. Really, the only thing I could think about is weed. That's the only thing that hasn't raised in price, throughout this entire administration so far, even with inflation, honestly. But that's kind of because it's produced in the United States. It's not produced in another country. You don't have to deal with the tariff. But the economy's in the shits, and that's kind of just how it goes. Moving on, Trump won't rule out military force for Greenland. In an interview with NBC's Meet the Press, Trump was asked if he would rule out military force in order to acquire Greenland. Trump said, "I don't rule it out. I don't say I'm going to do it, but I won't rule it out. Anything. No, not there. We need Greenland very badly. Greenland is a very small amount of people, which we will take care of. We will cherish them. and all of that. But we need that for international security. When asked the same about Canada, he said, "It's highly unlikely. I don't see it with Canada. I just don't see it. I have to be honest with you." Trump said he spoke with the new Prime Minister Mark Carney and confirmed the two had not spoken on Canada joining the U.S. Holy, I am sorry. He said Carney and Trump will have the opportunity to discuss it when Carney comes to the U.S. either this week or next week. It has been made very clear that the United States won't have Greenland. Trump needs to give up. You can't just have land. It doesn't work like that. And if a country says no, you're not going to get it unless you're a prick and, see something that isn't rightfully yours. Whew. My head is killing me, so we're going to try and speedrun these a little bit. So my apologies, but we have 2 topics to cover, and they're quite long ones. Trump doesn't know if he can uphold the Constitution. Trump has argued in an interview with NBC's Meet the Press that his promise to rapidly carry deportations precedes the constitutional right to due process. Last month, in the same interview, when asked if everyone was able to receive due process, the Secretary of State Marco Rubio said, "Yes, of course." Trump, however, when asked the same question, said, "I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know." The Constitution's Fifth Amendment says no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of the law. It does not say a person should have to be a U.S. citizen, and the Supreme Court for years has recognized that non-citizens have certain basic rights, including this one. When Kristen Welker, my apologies, tried to point out that the Fifth Amendment said that, Trump suggested that he wouldn't slow down, saying, "I don't know, it seems it might say that, but if you're talking about that, we'd have 1 million or 2 million or 3 million trials. We have thousands of people, some are murderers, and some are drug dealers, and some are the worst people on earth. I was elected to get them the hell out of here, and the courts are holding me from doing it." Welker asked, "But even with those numbers that you're talking about, you still need to uphold the Constitution of the United States as president." Trump replied, "I don't know." It is Trump's job to uphold the Constitution as the President of the United States. If the President does fail to do so, he is subject to impeachment and removal from office. We are past that point. We are past 100 days into Trump's presidency, and Trump should have at least been impeached by day 50. In his time so far, he has thrown us towards recession multiple times. He has disobeyed court orders multiple times. He has attacked freedom of speech, press, and religion multiple times, and so many more things. The core values of the United States of America are under attack by this administration, and it has been clear that something needs to be done about it. Moving on to the final segment for today. California Democrats have blocked a bill making it a felony to purchase kids for sex. Democrats in California have rejected a bill backed by Republicans to advance a policy increasing penalties for soliciting and buying from sex from 16 and 17-year-olds. Republican Minority Leader James Gallagher said before the vote, "It's a simple thing before us. Do 16 and 17-year-olds deserve the same protection as minors when it comes to child prostitution? This body needs a moral compass." This move was supported by several moderate Democrats who said buying sex from older teens should be a felony. Robert Rivas said after the vote that California already has some of the strongest laws against child trafficking and that lawmakers are committed to protecting children. Democrats now back an amendment saying they plan to adopt the strongest laws to protect 16 and 17-year-old victims. Governor Gavin Newsom has declined to make a statement himself, but his office said the law should treat all sex predators who solicit minors the same as a felony regardless of the intended victim's age. My opinions on this were not well received by TikTok, and I guess it's a, hot take. So, let me know your thoughts down below on this one, because, I am open to criticism, and, I'm learning if I'm wrong on my views around this, but, this is my statement on the topic. I think that the first thing that needs to be done before another vote is held is to check the hard drives of these individuals. that have voted against it. Should it be a felony to purchase children for any solicit reason? Absolutely. But from what I can tell, this law gave extra protections to 16 and 17-year-olds, some of the more mature, for lack of a better term, children. Something that, without a thought, should be voted in favor for, as 16 and 17-year-olds are some of the most sought-after individuals because, for one, 16-year-old girls, tend to have a lot more features of women, and 17-year-old boys, even for that matter, tend to have a lot more features of grown men. They just tend to be children, which is why it should be a felony. And I think it's, not a bad thing that they tried to introduce more protections for 16 and 17-year-olds, as these groups are, some of the most preyed after, as they are some of the closest to becoming adults. But I guess for some reason on TikTok, I'm wrong about that. Anyways, thank you everyone for watching this video. Like and repost it to get the information out and drop it. I don't know why I'm saying that. That is the TikTok exit. If you're on YouTube, wow. If you're on YouTube, please consider dropping a subscription. We're on our way to 500 subscribers, and we'll get there eventually. Don't know when, but hopefully we can get there soon. If you're on Substack, consider pledging your support. All the funds go to me. They help me pay for the things that I need to pay for in college, like food, clothing, and housing, and all of that other stuff. If not, you can always subscribe for free. I appreciate all forms of support on my content. But with that being said, thank you everyone for watching. I will see you all in tomorrow's episode. Later.